In this video, we're going to focus on Microsoft's newest presentation tool, and this is called Sway. And Sway is great for teachers, for educators, but it's also wonderful in the business world and for your own personal use and enjoyment as well. And what is Microsoft's Sway, or sometimes it's called Office Sway? What this is it's a way to present information in a beautiful, dynamic way. And not only that, but your presentations that you create with this are cross-platform. You can access them and show them on tablets, on smartphones, on laptops, of course, Chromebooks. It's very compatible with whatever device you want to use it with. And it, like I said, it looks great. And the experience for the viewer is very dynamic and interesting. So some people compare it to PowerPoint. It really is different than PowerPoint, even though they're both presentation tools. And as you can see here, some of its primary purposes are for creating reports, presentations, newsletters, personal stories, and more. The idea here is to present things in a visual way that's interesting and interactive in some cases. So I'm going to go ahead and click Sign in the upper right corner. Now, if you are new to Microsoft's online suite, like Outlook.com or OneDrive, then you may need to set up an account. You can click here where it says Get Started and just type in an email address that you would like to use with Sway. Click Next, and then there's a few other steps that you need to take to set up your new account. Now, if you already have a Microsoft account, like I said, a OneDrive account, or maybe an Outlook account, or a Live.com account, over the years, Microsoft has used several different email accounts under different names. But if you've got an account that you're pretty sure comes from Microsoft, you can probably just click Sign in the upper right corner, put in that email address, click Next, and it should recognize you and get you in. As you can see, I need to type in my credentials to really get in. But once I've done that, I have access to Microsoft Sway. And the first time that you use this, you're going to see some examples that pop up. So here's some examples, and you can just click on one. I'll click on this Climbing Mount Rainier example, and it opens up, and it kind of shows you what Sway is capable of. So this particular Sway presentation has a title, it's got a picture to go with it, and then there's all this content. There's some pictures, some text. It looks like a short article, perhaps from Wikipedia, maybe from another source. There's some bulleted information here. There's more pictures, and there's probably some videos here. But somebody has put together quite a good presentation here. Now, it looks unimpressive to me at this point. But if I click play in the upper right, or even preview, but play is what really gives you the full view of the presentation. If I click that, you can see and experience this Sway as it's meant to be seen. Now, this particular Sway is meant to be horizontal. As you can see, I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse, and I'm just scrolling to the side to see the content. You can also use these arrows in the lower right corner. But you can see the way that these photos are displayed is kind of dynamic. They kind of shift and move in a way that's interesting and grabs the eye and grabs your attention. So I really like how they visually put together these Sway slides. Now, it depends on the template that you choose. They don't always react like this, and some templates are vertical instead of horizontal, and then other templates or formats or layouts are slide-based, similar to PowerPoint. But this particular one, it's basically one big, long horizontal presentation. If some of these are videos instead of pictures, you can just click play and it will play. That's not a video, though, so it didn't play. But anyway, you can just present your information here for the viewer. And like I said before, it's accessible for the viewer on pretty much whatever device they have that can access the internet. So that's a glimpse of what a finished Sway looks like. I'm going to now go back. I'm going to click on the Sway button, and I'll show you how to create a presentation of your own. And I'm going to basically recreate this South America presentation that I recently made. So I'm going to click on Create New. Now, you can see here, it does say import. It is possible to import work that you've done before. You can import a Word document, PowerPoint, PDF. But honestly, I prefer not to do that. What it does is it brings in each slide or each page, but it kind of just throws the content into Sway. It doesn't preserve the integrity of the PowerPoint, for example. It's just a bunch of pictures and text that you have to then organize and put around where you want them to be. So even though it does import, it's kind of like Prezi in this, that in Prezi you can import slides, but it's not the best thing in the world. So instead, I prefer just to create a new presentation from scratch. I'll click on Create New, and it loads up Sway. And this is the Sway builder, basically. I'm going to use this to create my Sway. Notice right away it says Title Your Sway. I'll just click there, and I'll put in the title, South America. Okay. Now, notice that you don't have a ton of text options. That's one of the first things I noticed when I started using Sway a few months ago was, I didn't have all the PowerPoint options for text, bold, italicize, underline, all the different font colors and styles and everything. Well, you actually do have some of those options, but the other thing about Sway is it's really meant to be a quick and easy and beautiful experience, both making it and also viewing the Sways. And so because of that, it doesn't have every single option you might want, unfortunately, but it's super easy and quick to use it. So the options that I do have, I can click and drag to highlight what I would like to bold, for example, and then just click Emphasize and it puts it in bold. If I want it to be italicized, I highlight it, click Accent. And so those are your basic two options that you have for your text. And I think I do want that to be bold. Now notice, if you don't click and drag to highlight, if you just leave the cursor as is and click Emphasize, it highlights whatever's closest to it, or it bolds whatever's closest to it. So I'm going to highlight everything and emphasize it, and there we go. You can see there's also an option to insert a link or use a link with this text. I'm not going to do that in this case. Now to the left of my title, I have a box that I can put a background into. And how would I do that? Well, I could click on it, and that brings up some options. And you can see here at the left, I can see already that Microsoft Sway or Office Sway has chosen for me some themes and some content, it looks like. It brings up Europe, which that's a little off. Same with East Africa, but here we go. This looks like South America. So what is happening here is Microsoft Sway sees my title and it says, I've got some things that you might be able to use. And it's searching out on the internet and pulling in content that I might be able to use in my Sway. Also, notice here at the left, there's a variety of sources that I can draw from in building my Sway. By default, Suggested is selected. So I'm going to click on that just to verify, yes, that's what I want, the suggested content. So this is what Microsoft Sway is bringing to me, suggesting that I use it. So I'm going to click on South America to confirm that that's what I want. I'm not so interested in Africa right now, but rather South America. As I click on it, it goes out and it finds all sorts of content that I can bring in. Notice that it found some maps, various kinds of maps. It found some pictures related to South America, maybe some typical clothing, some geographic, pictures of the scenery. We've got some pictures of neighborhoods in South America somewhere. And actually, that's not a picture. That's a video. You can see right there. That symbol tells me it's a video. Same with this. And if I browse down, there's even more that Sway found for me. It looks like I have a tweet. Okay? That's one of the sources that Sway looks for, is tweets about the topic. So this tweet I could use. It looks like there's some more video. And if I browse down, I'll get animations, I'll get videos, pictures from a variety of sources. And it just goes on and on and on. Now notice here in the upper left that there's a checkbox and a check mark here saying search results show images tagged with Creative Commons licenses. And so it's finding just content that has been uploaded to the internet for the purpose of sharing. And so that's kind of nice. I don't have to worry so much about copyright. I don't have to worry, am I infringing on someone's content and work? Am I plagiarizing? Things like that. It's only searching stuff that's meant to be shared. Now, if you uncheck that, you get even more content, and it's amazing. But just be aware that you need to respect copyright. So it's up to you if you want to check the box or not check the box. So I would like to select, how about this map here at the left? So to do that, I just click on it and drag and drop it in the box. And it actually did a pretty good job, I think, of centering it the way I wanted it to be. Let's look at what it actually will look like when the viewers see it. If I click play in the upper right, it loads up and it kind of chose for me a layout, a theme, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and it looks like we're not going to be able to fully see that until I start adding more content. But this is what it's doing. It's just automatically decided to put the title here with this particular font and with my image in the background as it is there. Now, when I'm done previewing this or playing it, I can just tap escape on the keyboard and it takes me back and I can edit more. Now, let's say that maybe instead of using this map, maybe I used a different one, and maybe it's cutting off some of the map that I don't want it to cut off. Okay, what you can do to fix that is click this button that appears called Focus Points. You click on it, and it opens up your image, and you can click to show what is important. So this shows Sway. It tells Sway that this is important. And so is this, and so is this. Basically, I'm telling it that all of South America is important. You can't leave out, some of these areas of South America. Okay. Now, you can say the entire image is important, but you don't have to. You could just isolate parts of the picture, and then what it does is it adjusts the image to show what you want to show. So that you can get a better look at that, I will change it up a little bit. I'm going to move it so that what's important is just the bottom of this map. Okay, and let's see how that affects the results. Okay, so when that's done, I can just X out of it, and now you can see that it's showing a different part of the map. Okay, I'm going to tap escape on that and then go back to my storyline here at the left. All right, now I actually want to delete that map and put my original map back so that I have that one, because I prefer that one. Now, you may have noticed that with me previewing and playing my presentation, my Sway, I lost that panel at the left that I was using to bring in pictures and other things. And this is one of the hardest things about using Sway, at least to begin with. Right now, for me, it's easy. But when I first started using Sway, I kept losing track of all of these options and features and the panels that have the content on them. So just know that you can always get those back by clicking on these tabs across the top. Insert gives you the panel that I want. Cards gives you some other options. Design, navigation, and I'll talk about Remix a little bit later. Also, you can click on the Sway button anytime you need to, just to get back to your Sway main menu, basically, and then you can click to get back in to edit whatever the Sway is that you want to edit. So these 5 or 6 buttons here at the top left are very important. All right, so it's time for me now to start adding information and content about South America. So of course I want to insert that, so I click on Insert, and remember, it gave me all these great suggested things. So I'm going to click on South America, and I'm going to add some of those items that it recommended. Okay, so I'm just going to click to add a few of these things. I'll click and drag and drop them in. Now, if there's a lot of stuff that you would like to add, you can click on it to add a check mark to it, and then go ahead and click on more stuff. So select what you want to select. Okay, that looks interesting. That looks interesting. These pictures look interesting. And of course, you get to decide what's relevant, what's not relevant, what you want to include, what you want to skip. But once you have selected what you want to share, just click on the Add button here at the top, and it adds everything that you have selected. So you can do it either way. You can click and drag individually, or select everything that looks interesting and then click the button that was here. All right, once those are added, look what it does. It throws them in there. It puts them in an order that Sway thinks is appropriate. Okay, and it looks like it's pretty much in the order in which I selected them. If it comes in an order that you're not happy with, that's easy. Just click and drag to reorder the items so that they are the way you want them to be. Okay, so I did almost no work, and yet I'm ready to present this. If I click on play, let's look at what the viewer would see. All right, so what we have here is we have my title with a background picture. I'm not super happy maybe with the logo, and the font isn't my favorite in the world. I'll show you how to change that later. And then I've got a bunch of pictures and videos kind of all thrown together, and as I browse to the right, more appears, more content. And here's that tweet, and there's a play button to watch the videos. I'll play one of those so you can see. And so, this is a really beautiful way, I think, to share information, including pictures, videos, text. Now, if you don't like the layout that you see here, or if you don't like the look of how these are on the screen, don't worry. There's lots of different templates or themes, basically, that you can use. So don't give up on this yet if you don't like how this looks. I personally like it a lot. I'm going to tap Escape because I want to show you that even if you do like what you see and you want to keep it, you do have some control over how things look on the screen. And the way you can change how they look in a very easy way is to click on something that you want to emphasize, for example. So this video is important, let's say, and yet it's kind of lost amidst all these other photos and videos. So I click on it, and then I go over here to options, and that button didn't exist earlier. I didn't see it, but I can click on that, and I get options that pop up here at the left. These options are for how to emphasize this video. Do I want to emphasize it in a subtle way, moderate, or intense? And I would like it to be intense. And so now I can just X out of that panel, and if I play my Sway now, you can see already what it's doing. Because I told it to be intense, it's big. And that's going to, of course, draw attention to it. And now all my other content comes in, and it looks secondary to this main event here of this video that can be played. Now, of course, the video, not only can it be played, but you can make it go full screen. So even in small videos like this, I could make it full screen just by clicking the full screen button. All right, I'm going to tap Escape again to get out of my play mode. And again, I've lost my panel at the left, but I can just click Insert and it comes back. Okay, so we do have some control. We can click and drag to move the items in the Sway and reorder them. We can also click on the options to emphasize or de-emphasize the different items. Also, notice that you can add some text. Okay, and I'm gonna X out of this panel just so you can see that a little better. You can add text in using bullets or numbers. Okay, and this text is a way to add some information that will show up near the video. So please watch this important video. So I type that in, and now when it's played, you can see my text will appear underneath my video in this case. There it is. Okay, so I hope you're starting to see some of the things that Sway is capable of. Yes, it's for presenting, but in a very visually interesting and exciting way. Yes, you can use text, but it really does kind of seem to emphasize and play well with media. Now, we've only looked so far at the suggested content that Sway brings to you. But notice that there's also a button here to take you directly to your OneDrive. Okay, if you don't use Microsoft OneDrive, you really should get started using that. And I have a video that talks about using OneDrive. But basically what I just did by clicking on that button was I tapped into my OneDrive account. Now, this isn't really my real OneDrive account, so you can see it doesn't think I've used it before. But what OneDrive does is it lets you store things in the cloud, store things on the internet. So I can put PowerPoint presentations in there, Word documents, pictures, videos, all sorts of things like that I could easily pull into my Sway and use in this presentation. So it's really nice to have direct access to that, and it's because it's a Microsoft product, right? Sway is Microsoft, OneDrive is Microsoft. If you're a Dropbox user, this is basically like having a direct link to Dropbox. Okay, except you get extra storage with OneDrive. And there's some other benefits too. I love Dropbox, but OneDrive I think is fantastic. So you can also tap into your OneNote account if you have a Microsoft online account, which if you use Sway, you're going to have it now. But you can use OneNote online, and anything that you create with OneNote, you can draw in and pull in to your Sway. You can tap into Facebook. I really don't want to do that, but if you do want to do that, you could click on it and it would pull content from your Facebook account that you could use in Sway. Same with Flickr, all these others, YouTube, Twitter, and this add source button. What this does, it doesn't really let you add a source. What it does is it lets you vote for other sources that you would like Microsoft to add next. And you can see they have a short list here of ones that apparently a lot of people want access to. But you could also recommend an additional one. Okay, I'm going to say not now. So the other option at the very bottom, it says upload. So I could click upload. It accesses my computer and I can select something. Let's say a PowerPoint presentation. I've got a couple here on South America. I'll just select one, click open. And even though this PowerPoint presentation, it's not in my OneDrive account, it's just on my computer, but even so, I can insert it, I can upload it into this Sway and have access to it inside of Sway. Okay, so this is using Sway, one presentation tool, to utilize and show another presentation tool, a PowerPoint. Now, once it uploads the PowerPoint, it gives you a couple of options. Do you want to import the slides or embed them? And there's benefits to both, but I rarely import into Sway. And the reason why is, like I said earlier, it imports the content on the slides, but it just doesn't look like PowerPoint anymore. And it just, I don't know, it doesn't look fantastic. So I usually, when I do this, I click embed, and I want you to see what it looks like when you're done embedding, because it looks like there's a PowerPoint presentation built right into your Sway, and it works similarly to how a PowerPoint works. And so, I like to think of Sway as, yes, it's a presentation tool, a way to beautifully show content online, but it's also a way to provide a variety of different resources to students or coworkers, family members. I can present and provide pictures, text, throw in a PowerPoint, throw in a Word document, a PDF. And so it's like I could give students, for example, a presentation with pictures, videos, and here's your homework assignment. I could give it to them in PDF form or Word form. And here's a handout that helps you to learn more on your own. I just love that idea of sharing multiple resources, different kinds of resources with the students through Sway. So it finished embedding, and it doesn't look that impressive. I do have options here. I can make it moderately emphasized. I'm going to go with intense again, because it's an important presentation, let's say. And then let's look at what it actually looks like for the viewer. If I click play in the upper right, it loads up PowerPoint Online, which again is part of OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive. So there it is. I've just pulled in a PowerPoint presentation right into my Sway. The students can access that, or anyone that sees this presentation can access that content, the slides. If they want to go full screen, they can. You can just click this button and it should open up the full screen version of the presentation. All right, and like I mentioned, this also works really well with PDFs. It works with Word documents. Just to click insert and click this button here and then select upload. So Sway makes it very convenient to build your presentations. All right, next we need to look at cards. If I click on cards, you can see that I can add more of these. These are what it's referring to as cards, okay? And these were cards that were basically automatically created. Sway recommended them, and then I dragged them in, and it just kind of built this card set for me. But here, if I click on cards, I can say I want to add specifically some text, and just click and drag and drop the text in. You can click to type it in, and you can decide to emphasize it or not, just like I showed before. You've got your bullets and numbers. Okay, you can also put in headings, okay, which is similar but bigger in this case. You can drag in pictures, you can drag in video, and then just click add a video. Okay, where are you going to get that video? Is it going to be from YouTube? Is it going to be maybe from another source? Or is it in OneDrive? Or are you going to upload it? So notice that it also has the ability to add a tweet, which is kind of fun. and to embed other content. And this is pretty exciting, and I'm sure this will get better and better. So at least in theory, you could go to another website and you could find an embed code, copy it, and paste it in here, and items from that web page would be pulled in to your Sway. It doesn't work with all embed codes, so you'll have to test that out. It depends on if it's a secure embed code and all that kind of stuff. But I love that you can have that option of bringing in content from another website, maybe that you make or that you find, and just embed it. Now you can put in some charts, and you can also do some grouping of the stacks of the cards, basically. How do you want those cards to be shown? Do you want it to be automatic? And that's usually what I do. Or do you want to stack the items so that there's one on top of the other? Do you want to do a comparison? Do you want it to be a slideshow or a grid? And you can see it's changing how things are organized just based on what I click. So you can play around with that a little bit. So I'm going to stick with automatic, and I'll just go from there. Now let's look quickly at design. When you click on design, it does let you change up the fonts a little bit. So I wasn't super happy with the font it automatically picked. So I'm going to choose a different one here, and that one looks pretty good. Okay, you can also customize the aspects of that design. If you click that customize button, you can choose the actual font type, and it doesn't have everything, but it has some good ones. And then you can adjust the animation. Do you want intense animation, subtle, or moderate? So those are some good options in design. Finally, navigation, and this is really important. This is where you get to decide, do you want to have a vertical navigation so that to experience your Sway presentation, the viewer has to scroll vertically? Do you like that? Or do you want it to be horizontal? It's the same content, it just is experienced differently. And keep in mind, this is meant to be used on all devices. So if your students usually use iPads or Android devices that are tablets, maybe you want horizontal. People are used to swiping horizontally. But if it's a smartphone, vertically might be the way to go. So it just depends on what you think the viewer would like. And then this third option is slide-based, kind of like PowerPoint. So you just click, and if I click play, you can get a better view of this. Just click the arrow to advance, very similar to showing slides in a PowerPoint presentation. But you do probably notice some differences. It automatically added interesting animation to the text, as well as to how it puts the pictures on the screen. So even just with a PowerPoint style presentation, it still kind of dresses it up and makes it look attractive and interesting. So I'm going to tap escape a couple times to get back, and I can just click here on storyline. It opens up the panel, and then I just wanted to show you a couple basic last things. You can see there's an undo and a redo button, and there's a remix button. What's up with this? Well, what the remix button does is it changes everything about your presentation, basically. Anything that's not a content item. So it doesn't change out your videos and pictures, but it dresses it up differently every time you click remix. So you can see it changed the font colors, it changed the font type, sometimes it changes the background color, and also the navigation. It might make it vertical versus horizontal, that kind of thing. So I'm going to click remix again, see if I like it better. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that font, and it made it vertical. I kind of like the wood background. I think I'll keep this one. So it's kind of fun to just click remix a few times and see what it does with your content. We've already looked at the play button, basically. Here's a list of authors. You can add authors by sharing a link with people that you work with, and you can work together on a Sway. You can also share your Sway. Right now it's shared out to lots of people, but if I click, it makes it just shared to me. I guess that's not sharing at all. But you can also share it with the world by clicking this button. That opens up your docs.com account, and you can publish it there. And incidentally, you can publish all sorts of stuff at your docs.com account. It doesn't have to just be a Sway, but that's pretty cool that you can publish it online using a docs.com account that's tied to your Microsoft login and password. You can also easily share it with friends, Facebook, Twitter, the typical stuff. You can even click this button here to get even more, including an embed code, so you can embed, not necessarily embed things on your Sway, but embed your Sway itself. So all this work that you've just done, you could get the embed code, copy that, paste it into your blog or website that you have, and your Sway will appear there. There are more options as well. You can make it so people can duplicate your Sway and basically take your work and make it their own, or you can not do that. This little button here is kind of interesting. This says share this Sway using other social services. If you click on it, it brings up just tons and tons, if you click this button here, of other ways you could share it. And one that I like a lot is this one here, email. It's kind of plain, but it's very useful. You can just click that button, click the type of email you want to use, and it helps you to set it up so that you can email your Sway to friends or family or coworkers. So I just really love Sway. I think it's a great little addition to Microsoft's suite of tools that are online. And Microsoft has really just improved their online offerings dramatically. I love the new OneDrive. I love the Office suite online. I think it's really a good option. And, some people like to compare these Microsoft online free tools to the Google tool suite that Google has. And I can see some comparisons, yes. But Sway is an example of something new and fresh and interesting and different that Microsoft is doing with their online suite that, really you're not going to find this exact product in Google or other services. So I hope that you liked learning about Sway and that you'll enjoy using it. Notice that if you want to learn more, there is a tutorials button in the upper right corner, and you can get a few tutorials from Microsoft about how to do various things with Sway. They're typically not complete tutorials, just little snippets, but it can help you learn more about using Sway. And then also, we have these 3 dots in the upper right, and you can go there to jump to your Sways. You can also get there by clicking here. You can create a new one, duplicate. There's all these other things that you can do. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and that you will love using Sway. Thanks for watching.